Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be showing you how to make a batwing adire dress. So I'm gonna head to fold this fabric into 4. Now when it comes to adire, the way we fold it is different from the way we fold the regular fabric. So when it comes to your regular fabric, assuming that this side is the length and that's the yard part, you normally just fold it straight ahead into 4. But because of the adire design, we won't be folding it that way. We'll first of all fold the length and then fold it again. Just what do I fold this paper? That's the way you are going to fold your adire fabric in order to retain the design that comes in the adire. So after folding your adire into 4 pieces, we are going to go ahead to start making this dress. So just watch closely and see how I fold the paper. That is how you're going to fold your fabric. Now that that's done, we are going to start by marking our shoulder slants. I'm coming down at my shoulder by 1 inch. So I am going to draw a straight line from the shoulder slant that I've made to the neck part down to the end of the sleeve. Now remember that I'm slanting the shoulder of this dress by 1 inch. Now, after slanting the shoulder, I am going to go ahead to mark out the neck. Now, the neck is going to be a 3 by 2 inches neck. The front neck is going to be different from the back neck, but the width is going to be the same. So I'll be marking 3 inches on the width of the neck. Then for the back part, I'll be coming down by 2 inches for the back part. So after marking that, I am going to curve out the neck. Now for this dress, I want the front part of it to have a V-neck, so it is going to be a little bit deeper. So for the front part, I'll be marking 7.5 inches. I first of all marked 7 inches, but I went ahead to add an extra half an inch, making it a total of 7.5 inches. So just watch how I made this 7.5 inches into a V-neck. Now remember that the width of this neck is the same thing for both the back and the front. The only difference is the depth. Now after marking this neck, I've gone ahead to cut out the shoulder slant, which we already marked out before. After cutting out the shoulder slant, I am going to be cutting out the back neck. I'll be cutting the 2 necks first, but watch how I separate them later to then cut out the front part. But first of all, I'm cutting the back neck. Now after cutting out the back neck, I am going to separate the front piece from the back piece. That way I'll be able to cut out the front neck without cutting the back. Now that I've gone out to cut out the neck piece, I'll be showing you what it looks like putting the front and the back together, so you can see the difference. Now the widths are the same, but the depth isn't the same thing. Now I'm going to start placing my measurements. First of all, I'll be placing my shoulder length, which is 9 inches, and then my sleeve length is going to be 16 inches, but I'll be adding extra 1 inch to the neck, to the shoulders for the sleeve. So after that, I'll mark it out and cut out the excess. The extra 1 inch that I'm adding is for me to use as a hemming allowance. Honestly, I didn't know that my camera wasn't recording up until that point, so this is me showing you guys what I did. I marked out 9 inches for the shoulders and then marked my sleeve length 16 inches. Then I added 1 inch to it for the hemming allowance. Then after that, I cut out the excess. So that line that you are seeing there, that is the excess where I'll be cutting it out. Remember that when making this fabric, this is an adire silk, and if you work with silk fabric, then you know that silk fabric moves a lot. So I advise that you pin this down before you start cutting or start placing your measurements. Pin it down, that way your fabric doesn't move when you're working. So right now I am cutting out the excess from the sleeve. Remember, I'm cutting this from the up down to the full length of this dress. Now, after cutting the length, this dress, I'm going ahead to mark the front and the back. Now, the place where I'm marking a chalk on is the back part. Because of this design, it's kind of hard to tell the back and the front. So now that I can still recognize it, I am going ahead to mark it straight. That way, I do not make a mistake. Now, after marking the front and the back, I am going to pipe this neckline, the front and the back neckline, with a bias tape. Then after that, I'll be joining the shoulders. So I've gone ahead to pipe the neckline. I've also joined the shoulders. I also went ahead to hem the sides of this fabric on both sides. I hemmed it from up to down to the full length of this gown. So after hemming it, we are going to start placing our measurements. Now, the measurement for this dress will be placed in front of the dress, not at the back. It will be turned right side up to place this measurement. So as you can see, I am going ahead to mark my lengths. Now, right now, I marked from my shoulder to my bust point, which is 10 inches. Then after marking my bust point, I marked from my bust point to my waist, which is 8 inches. And then I also marked from my waist to my hip line, which is another 8 inches. Now, for this one, now I want my sleeve to be 12 inches long, so I am going to measure from my bust point to where I want my sleeve to start, which is 12 inches. So as you can see, that is the extra 2 inches there. So right now I am now placing my measurements. I'm going to start placing my measurements from that 12 inches where I want my sleeve to be. Now for my measurements, I divided my bust divided by 4. Then I added 4 inches. I wanted this to be a loose gown. So my bust divided by 4 plus 4 inches, making it 13.5 inches. I marked that. Now my waist divided by 4 plus 4 inches. I marked that. And then my hip divided by 4 plus 4 inches. I also went ahead and marked that at 15.5 inches. So that's it right there. Now after marking this, I am going to go ahead and join this body measurements. Now watch closely and see what I'm doing. These body measurements are marked on the front of the dress because we are going to be stitching this dress at the front. Now while marking, I am going to, after joining this body measurement, I am going to draw it down from the waist down to the bottom of this dress. But then at the bottom of this dress, I am going to come down by 5 inches. When we are sewing it, we are not going to sew it to the end. I came up by 8 inches, not 5 inches, because I'm still going to hem this dress. So I came up by 8 inches. So when I start stitching, I'm going to stitch from the sleeve part up until where that 8 inches starts. So I am going to stop. Now this is me marking the 8 inches where I will stop sewing. Now this body measurement, we are going to place it on both sides of this dress. So this is the first side. I am going to turn it around and then make the same measurement, the same exact measurement that I made on this side. I am going to flip this dress around and make it on the other side too. So just watch and see what I'm doing. And again, from the shoulders, I am going to come down by 12 inches, which is where I want my sleeve to start. Then from that 12 inches, I'm going to measure again from my shoulder to my bust point, which is 10 inches. That way I'll be able to get my waist. So from my bust point to my waist is 8 inches. I'm going to go ahead and mark that. and from my waist to my hip is another 8 inches. I'm also going to go ahead and mark that. Then I'm going to place my body measurements. Now my body measurements, my bust is 44 divided by 4 plus 4 inches. I'll be adding 4 inches because I want this to be a loose dress. So 44 divided by 4 is 11 inches plus another 4 inches, that is 15 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 15 inches. Now my waist is 39 divided by 4 is 9.75 inches plus 3 inches, that is 13.75 inches. I've gone ahead to mark it. My hip is 46 divided by 4 is 11.5 inches plus 4 inches, making it 15.5 inches. Now after marking that, I am going to join this body measurement again down to the bottom, leaving 8 inches at the bottom where my stitching will stop. Now after marking this body measurement, I am going to go ahead to my sewing machine and stitch this. Remember, we are stitching this at the bottom, sorry, at the front part of this dress. We are going to be stitching on top of it, the front part. I'm going to go ahead and mark the 8 inches, which is where I'll stop sewing whenever I'm sewing it. So that's it right there. Now I'm going to go ahead to go to my sewing machine and stitch this dress. After stitching it, I'm also going to go ahead and hem the bottom part of the dress, and after that the dress is basically done. Now you are going to be stitching on top of this line that you drew, so that's where you're going to be stitching, and then I'm going to stop at that 8 inches mark and then go ahead to hem this dress. So I've gone ahead to stitch it, and then I also went ahead to hem this dress. I hemmed it with a bias tape because the adire is kind of short and I wanted to make a scarf out of it, so I hemmed it with a bias tape. That way I do not take a lot of fabric. So that's basically it for this dress. It came out so beautiful, and I swear this is the lounge dress I've always been wanting. Just use it, lounge around at home, or you can also wear it to go out to church or errands, anywhere. It's a very beautiful, simple dress. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you subscribe to my channel and still come back. Thank you.